Welcome to this airing of candidate videos, produced by League of Women Voters Bloomington, with a special thank you to the City of Bloomington for the video production. League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that never endorses candidates or political parties. In these videos, you will hear general election candidates for all of the Minnesota state legislative seats that represent residents living in Bloomington. Minnesota State House and Minnesota State Senate district boundaries and district numbers have changed as a result of the 2020 census. All candidates representing the new Minnesota Senate Districts 50 and 51 and Minnesota House Districts 50A, 50B, and 51B were invited to produce these candidate videos.
Hello everyone, my name is Elise Mann, it is spelled like Alice, and I am running to be your next state senator for the new Senate District 50, which includes Edina and Bloomington. I am a practicing physician, I work in the ER, I also do international medicine, and I work with women who struggle with substance use disorders. I am a Brazilian immigrant, I am a mother to 3 young boys, and I'm a former member of the Minnesota House of Representatives. In 2018, I ran for the House because 3 things happened in my life. One was that I was coming home from work a little bit angry more and more each day. And this occurred because my patients were not getting the care that they needed. I would get phone calls from the pharmacy from my patients saying, I can't get the meds you prescribed, they're too expensive, my insurance won't cover it, or I can't get the test that you want me to get, it's too expensive, my insurance won't cover it. And so I was coming home pretty angry on many days of the week. Shortly after, I went to provide medical care in a Syrian refugee camp. And there I saw more human suffering than I had ever imagined was possible. Shortly after that, I went to Puerto Rico to provide care after Hurricane Maria, and I saw an entire island of people, of American citizens, who were purposefully left to fend for themselves. And so, tired of watching human suffering, I did something I never thought I would do, and I ran for office. And in 2018, I was elected to the Minnesota House, and while I was there, I did a lot of work that I'm very proud of. I worked on healthcare reform, first and foremost, and we made the strongest law in the country to license pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs. And PBMs are a little-known middleman in the pharmaceutical chain that will increase your drug prices without any oversight. Or when you go to the pharmacy to get your medicines and the pharmacist tells you that you can't get it because your formulary has changed, that's the work of PBMs. So our law is working to change that. I also established the Rare Disease Advisory Council, which is now a national hub for families and for physicians who are dealing with and treating rare diseases. I was a founding member of the Environmental Action Caucus. I carried bills to decrease our dependence on plastic and to keep our waters and air clean. And I was able to decrease the out-of-pocket costs for families who have children with disabilities. And this bill was especially important to me because to have someone come up to you and say, I can now afford my child's treatment because of what you did, it was really incredibly special. And all of those things were done in a bipartisan way. We have and had a divided legislature, and so to get those things done, we had to work across the aisle, and that's exactly what I did. 2020 came, and so did COVID-19, and I did not seek re-election at that time because I went back to work at the hospital full time. That was where I was most needed at the time, and so that was a decision I had to make. But now, you know, people still come up to me with their stories about their struggles and what makes life difficult for them. So there's so many stories still out there, and there's so much work that still needs to be done that I decided to run again. And honestly, it's not something I plan to do, but again, with so much left to do, I just didn't want to sit at home and do nothing. And so, to me, the bills that I will continue to write are going to be coming from the community, like they did before. And so, because to me, legislating is not an I sport, it is a we sport, right? It is a team sport. And so I sincerely hope that you will join our team so that I can work for you and with you to make a difference and to bring some humanity back into politics. Again, I'm Dr. Elise Mann, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time today to tell you about myself and our campaign for State Senate. My name is Doug Fulton, and I'm running for District 50 Senate seat, which is in the district that includes Bloomington, much of Bloomington, and much of Edina. My wife Cindy and I have lived in the district for 22 years, and we've raised our kids here. Our oldest daughter and her husband have blessed us with our first grandchild. We have a son who's studying engineering at the University of Minnesota, and we have two kids still to get through high school. Our youngest daughter, Anna, we adopted from Guatemala when she was a young baby. I can't believe she's going to high school this year, and she's learning how to pass her driving test this summer. So how time passes. Let me tell you a little. For the past 50 years, I have been building and running a company, consulting company, in this market, representing companies, helping them lease and buy real estate. And Cindy and I are very involved in our activities. We've been involved in our business associations, and I would encourage you to go to our website, fultonforsenate.com, and read more about that. I only have a few minutes for this video, so I want to jump right to why I'm running for Senate and for some of the things that I'm going to focus on in the Senate race. So why am I running for Senate? Here's the reason. I am really frustrated today with our political system, which is represented by people who are really either unwilling or unable to solve reasonable challenges and negotiate common sense solutions. And as a result of that, our communities are suffering. Our neighborhoods are experiencing crime at the highest level of any time. Our schools are facing declining achievement results and continue to deal with the real mental wellness issues that COVID caused for a lot of our kids. And because our elected representatives either don't know how to or won't negotiate, the state of Minnesota hasn't yet figured out how to return a surplus of tax money of over $9 billion back to the taxpayers or to put it into programs to help our communities. So I'm willing to put my 35 years of business experience and negotiating experience and 22 years of living in this district to work in the hope that new voices like mine can help solve some of the challenges that our community has. So where am I going to focus? What we're hearing from people today, and there will be other issues, but the biggest issues are crime, school, and keeping the state of Minnesota accountable. On the crime issue, we're going to focus on reducing crime in our communities. Last year, there were 100 murders and over 700 carjackings in the city of Minneapolis, and those crimes have crept into our communities. We know that. We see that every day. We read about it every day. We need to fully engage and support our law enforcement officers and give them the resources and the partnerships to turn policing into an offensive strategy instead of a defensive strategy. And we need to get the offenders off the streets and into jail or into rehabilitation. Turning offenders loose to offend again is just not a viable solution and is not working. Number two, I'm going to focus on our kids and on school. We need to stand with our students, our teachers, and our parents and demand excellence in our schools. Our neighborhoods, our communities, and our property values require that. We need to make sure that our school curriculum reflects the standards of the very best education systems in the world with a focus on critical study areas. And our parents need to be involved as stakeholders in that process. And we also need to support our kids who continue to suffer from the school shutdowns. We need to invest in mental health counseling resources and additional assistance for kids that need it. We need to keep our schools safe, and we should continue to look for ways to provide the very best security services there are. And then lastly, I'm going to focus on keeping our government accountable to us. We live in a state and a community that is rich in resources and public services, but we've pushed too hard. We have one of the highest property tax rates in the country. We're among the highest tax states for personal income. We're in the top 5 for commercial property taxes, and we're one of the few states that still taxes Social Security benefits. We're losing people and businesses, and we need to get more competitive. Our communities, especially because we are in such a robust business community with all those office buildings, manufacturing centers, and facilities in our towns. We need those businesses to succeed. So crime, schools, state accountability, and more issues as I discuss with people throughout the campaign. So thank you for listening to me today. We have a lot of work to do, but I have the experience and the time living in this district to bring real solutions to our challenges. If you want to learn more or to join our campaign, go to fultonforsenate.com. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sammy Sussman. I am running to be your next state representative here in the Edina and Bloomington district, District 50A. I am counting on your vote on August 9th at the primaries. I'm here to announce I am the endorsed Republican candidate running for state representative here. As a young woman born in the United States to Somali immigrants, I understand two diverse cultures and believe and appreciate the opportunities and freedoms we have in the United States. I'm not a politician. I never thought I'd run for political office in my life. As a child of first-generation Somali immigrants, I want to give every Minnesotan the same opportunity for a great education, safe communities, and to secure for themselves the American dream. I'm running because I'm concerned by the challenges we have today in our state. I believe that I can no longer sit on the sidelines. As I campaign through the district, I look forward to hearing from you all and better understanding your thoughts, ideas, and concerns. We need a solutions-first attitude in state government. If elected, I will bring my personal story and business experience to make our cities and state safer and more prosperous, and I look forward to working together. 3 issues that I'm running on is public safety. I'm sure many of you believe that our peace has been disturbed. I'm so sick of our peace being disturbed. In fact, a few weeks ago, someone from our district was carjacked at gunpoint. At what point must this stop? I plan to use my passion to fight for a safer community, bringing back respectful rhetoric policies that support law enforcement and victims of crime. Mental health. My personal experience in mental health has fostered my passion for this issue. Minnesotans of all ages are facing a mental health crisis, especially our children, seniors, and communities of color. I intend to place a greater focus on our mental health services for Minnesotans. It's something that I've been involved in since I was young. Mental health treatment and solutions are very important, and I want to raise awareness of this issue in our state's government. Our mental health system is in desperate need of reform and appropriate funding. This will be one of my main primary focuses as your next leader. I believe we need a meaningful state dialogue for significant positive change. Jobs and economy. Inflation is crushing every class. I feel this as a millennial, and it hurts me so much at the pump and at the grocery store. When elected, I will work extremely hard to make sure everyone in this state and district has a shot at a better economic future. As a business owner, I plan using my expertise and looking to improve Minnesota's business climate to attract new businesses and to create jobs.
Hi, my name is Heather Edelson. I have represented Edina for the last 4 years. I was elected in 2018 and have served only Edina. So this November, as I'll be running for 50A, which will include a portion of Bloomington, is going to be a new experience for me of representing 2 cities. So I hope to meet many of you as I knock on your door, as I hold community events, and look forward to meeting you and learning more about Bloomington. I've been doing a little bit of research, and I can tell you Bloomington is significantly bigger than Edina by about 30,000, so that was kind of interesting to learn. But I do know your mayor. I'm meeting with the superintendent, I realize for me it's going to be, because I live in Edina, it will be a lot of extra work, but I'm really committed to public service, and so I'm really excited about the opportunity to represent Bloomington. So a little bit about me, just so you know, I have my husband and I have been married for 14 years. We live in East Edina, right by 50th in France. I have 3 sons. Their names are Sam, Caleb, and Josh. My twins are 12, and they're in middle school. And my son Josh is in 3rd grade. He's a rising 4th grader. So for them, our house is a very busy household. And I ran for office many years ago with the idea that public service was something that was really instilled in me as a child. I volunteered on many commissions and boards in Edina and throughout the state. I was a guardian ad litem for many years, working in the child protection court system to represent the child's best interest. So making sure that we do good is always something that I find to be really important. And so a lot of people, I'm known at the Capitol as being very bipartisan, very much of a moderate. I am a Democrat, but I have led the Civility Caucus as one of the chairs for the last 3 years now. So right when I got elected, for me, it was really important to cross that aisle. As a Democrat, I think when we want things done in our communities, all of us as community members, we're not thinking, when somebody calls my office and they need help maybe getting a driver's license, or their loved one is stuck in another country and they need help getting their mom here. They don't care whether or not I'm a Democrat or a Republican. And it's the same thing when I bring my kids to a doctor. I don't care whether that person has the same ideology with me. I want them to help me. And I think that's what we expect out of our elected officials, and that's definitely what you'll get from me. Is over the pandemic, I can tell you, I helped so many businesses, so many constituents, and many of them said they had never even had a relationship with a Democrat or talked to a Democrat before. And I think as we look to the future and as we look to this next election, if you look at the last 60 years of the legislature, we've had divided government. We have Minnesotans like balance. So as we elect and we go to the ballot box this November, I ask you to vote for me, but I think it's really important that we elect pragmatic people that are not reading things that are taglines for parties. That is not helpful. It's not helpful for our communities. And so whether or not you've voted Republican your whole life or Democrat your whole life, I do ask you vote for me or consider me, because the reality is I do get things done. At the end of the legislature, I was the one that got the last bill passed. It was a $90 million investment in mental health. And I'm proud of that work, along with one of my colleagues, Representative Albright, who is a Republican. I've gotten things done for Edina, and I will get things done for Bloomington. So thank you for your consideration. And just so you know, I serve on education. That's my specialty area, as well as public safety and Veterans and Laborers Affairs. So look forward to seeing you around. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Beth Beebe, and I'm running for state representative in Senate District 50B. I've lived in Bloomington for 22 years with my husband and our 2 sons. I grew up in St. Louis Park and graduated from high school there. I have a degree in social work from Bethel University and a degree in elementary education from San Jose State. I've always been committed to my neighborhood and community wherever I have lived. I know my neighbors and cultivate relationships with residents throughout Bloomington. My commitment to work for the best of those in Bloomington and beyond is my reason for running for state representative. Many have expressed concerns about the direction our state has taken and want to see things turned around. I share that concern. As a Bloomington School Board member, I have seen the impact of decisions in the legislature that impose mandates that remove local control from school districts. There are issues such as the cross-subsidy, in which we have to pay $12 million in our school district to cover the costs of special education that should be covered by the state. That removes our ability to use our general fund for other needs of other students. I believe I can be a representative who will listen to residents and not special interest groups. I build relationships so I can listen to the people and understand how decisions at the legislature are impacting their lives. I am a proven leader, community advocate, and a wise decision maker. As a proven leader, I lived in Japan for 3 years, developing English classes for students of various levels and ages. As a proven leader, I co-founded Pioneer Family Academy in San Jose, California, an enrichment school for homeschooled students that is still thriving 27 years later. As a proven leader, I saw a need in a disadvantaged Bloomington neighborhood near me and began meeting needs on my own. Others joined me and we co-founded Connections to help these residents and their children. As a proven leader, I was elected to 2 terms on the Bloomington School Board, where I have served on a variety of committees, such as the Legislation Committee, where I work developing resolutions to present to the legislature and advocating for the district. I was also elected to be a member of the Minnesota School Board Association Delegate Assembly, where I was able to vote on which resolutions should be priorities for the Minnesota School Board Association to advocate on. This gave me a broader perspective of education legislation statewide. As a community advocate, I also have worked with immigrants as they adjust to life in the U.S., whether it's providing rides, filling out paperwork, or connecting them to resources. As a community advocate, I see needs and I meet them, as I did with the Connections outreach to children and families. My husband and I have also provided housing on long-term times for people in need. As a wise decision maker, I research issues from a variety of perspectives and choose primary sources over media. I want to be wise. I think things through and seek advice. This has been one of my strengths as a school board member. As far as the issues, public safety is high. I support law enforcement at the local and state level. There's no room for defunding the police when crime has risen to all-time highs. Minnesota residents deserve to live where they are protected and criminals are persecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I will support measures that promote public safety. On the issue of education, you know that's strong for me. Well, decisions are made at the state level that are impacting school programming, mandates that remove the local control, and this affects all districts across the state. And there are concerns people are bringing to me about standards, funding, parental rights, learning loss from COVID impacts. I, too, am concerned about these and believe that there is a need to address these. As your state rep, high state taxes are also a factor, causing residents to leave Minnesota for other states. Taxes are a concern. I know that there are over 10,000 people that have moved out of Minnesota since 2019 to 2021. And taxes is one of the reasons, as found by the IRS. Well, low-income residents I know are struggling to buy medications, food, and gas because costs are increasing as well as taxes. One of my potential opponents wants to increase the gas tax on top of already high prices. That can't happen. We have to deal with what's happening now. I want to come with wisdom. I want to come with commitment. I am a proven leader, a community advocate, and a wise decision maker. Vote Beth Beebe for State Representative, Senate District 50B, Beth Beebe for StateRep.com.
Hello, this is State Representative Steve Elkins. I'm here to ask for your support for my bid for re-election to represent Western Bloomington on the Minnesota House of Representatives. My wife Judy and I have lived in our home near Lake Normandale for almost 40 years now. Our daughters are products of the Bloomington school system from when they attended elementary school at Hillcrest to their graduation from Jefferson High School. And Judy and I were active volunteers all the way through to their graduations. I have over 25 years of service to the City of Bloomington as a City Council member, Planning Commissioner, Housing and Redevelopment Authority Commissioner, Metropolitan Council Representative, and for the last 4 years as your State Representative at the Capitol, where I'm the Vice Chair of the Local Government Committee. I'm an economist by education, and I worked in information technology for the last 25 years of my career, the last 10 of which were in health IT, which gives me experience in both healthcare and IT. I've used that experience gained through my life experiences to to develop legislation related to local government, information technology, transportation, and health care. I'm committed to defending the rights of women and have been endorsed by ERA Now and Planned Parenthood. I'm strongly committed to the cause of public safety and equal justice under the law. Judy and I are actively involved in Moms Demand Action, which has named me a Minnesota Gun Sense candidate for my efforts to pass common sense gun safety legislation. Judy is a retired teacher, and the two of us have always been strongly supportive of Bloomington's public schools, and I have been endorsed by the Minnesota Education Association for my efforts to secure funding for our schools. I believe that climate change is real, and from my position on the Transportation Committee, I have worked to promote the adoption of electric vehicles of all kinds because transportation is now the single biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in Minnesota. And I have been recognized by the Sierra Club and Conservation Minnesota for those efforts. I have been a strong advocate for providing sufficient workforce housing by both providing increased funding and through my own regulatory reform initiatives. I support universal access to health care, and I've developed legislation to expose and reduce the high cost of both drugs and health care services, and I've been endorsed by the Minnesota Nurses Association. I have consistently supported the rights of workers and have been endorsed by the AFL-CIO and numerous individual unions. I've leveraged my expertise in information technology to ensure that the transition from MNLARS to the replacement MNDRIVE system for driver's licenses and vehicle registration would go smoothly, and it has. Rick King, the chair of the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on Information Technology Reform, walked up to me at a recent Chamber of Commerce event and simply said, "Steve, you're making a difference." And when it comes to information technology, as a member of the bipartisan legislative IT caucus, I really think that I am. Around the Capitol, I'm frequently complimented for my thoughtful and knowledgeable approach to legislating, by which I think people mean that they appreciate the fact that I do my homework and consider each issue from every consideration, every angle, before sitting pen to paper and drafting legislation. I'm known around the Capitol as a public policy wonk, and I wear that label proudly. House Majority Leader Ryan Winkler recently introduced me at one of his events by saying that he had never met a legislator who was so willing to take on difficult subjects and research them thoroughly before bringing well-written legislation forward for consideration. As an example, I have been working with legislators in several other states to draft comprehensive consumer data privacy legislation for 3 years now, and will be presenting my work on that topic at a National Conference of State Legislators workshop in Denver this summer. By next January, I expect to have a bill that is worthy of passage for consideration in the next legislature. By voting to reelect me, you will be giving me the opportunity to see that work through to fruition, which will provide you with the data privacy rights that you deserve. I'm doing the same kind of work on my health care, on my housing, on my transportation work, and by returning me to the Capitol this year, you'll giving me the opportunity to see those efforts all through to fruition. Thank you very much, and for more information, you can visit my website at Elkins at elkinsforhouse.com. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melissa Halverson Wicklund, and I'm running for the Minnesota State Senate in the new district, Senate District 51, which includes East and Central Bloomington. It includes all of Richfield and also a small part of Minneapolis. Currently, I am the state senator, and I represent Bloomington and Richfield in the Minnesota Senate. For the 3 terms that I've been in the state Senate, I'm proud of the work I've done to focus on local projects, such as bringing funding for restoration of the old Cedar Bridge to our community. I've also worked to fight for reductions in prescription drug prices. I've worked to strengthen our educational system and have especially focused on early childhood care and education. I'm very proud of the work that I did in 2020 that saw the passage of a bill I authored, the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act. And this was a first-in-the-nation program that was established to provide an emergency supply of insulin to Minnesotans who are faced with a situation where they can't afford their next insulin supply. In the past 2 years, over 1,100 Minnesotans have accessed this program. No one should choose to ration their medications or die from not being able to afford their insulin or other prescription drugs. And we need to keep working on this important issue that's affecting a great deal of our Minnesotans. I also have worked on bills, as I said, to help our local communities and bringing bonding requests forward this past session for the Bloomington Public Health Building and the Wood Lake Nature Center in Richfield. Looking forward, I am hoping to earn your vote in the upcoming election coming in November. And I look forward to talking with you over the summer and fall months, getting to know you, and I'd like to hear your priorities for our community. We have a lot of work ahead, and I hope to continue my focus working on making sure Minnesotans have access to affordable, quality health care. I am working on ways to increase the affordability and access to high-quality childcare in our communities, which is a great need for many families. And I hope that we will work hard to begin to address in a more substantial way preventing gun violence in our communities. These are just some of my priorities. I know that there are a great many areas that we need to work on in our community, addressing climate change, protecting the environment, reforming our criminal justice system further. These are areas that I hope that I can hear from you, what your priorities are over the next few months. My website is wicklundforsenate.com, and I hope that you'll reach out to me, contact me with your questions and concerns. And again, I look forward to seeing you on the doors this summer. So thank you very much for your time.
Hi, I'm Nathan Coulter. I'm honored to be the DFL nominee for the Minnesota House of Representatives in District 51B. I'm excited to continue serving our community, and I'm ready to get to work. Every election year, it feels like we hear that this is the most important election of our lives. And you know what? Every year, it's true. Every election is an opportunity to make our voices heard on decisions that impact our lives in very real ways, and to ensure that those who are making those decisions share our values and work on the things we believe are important. I'm looking forward to talking with Bloomington voters about the issues that are on your minds and how we can work together to make our state and community better. As for myself, I'm proud to be a lifelong resident of Bloomington and a product of our Bloomington Public Schools. My mom taught math for 39 years at Normandale Community College, and my dad was a self-employed real estate attorney who one of our Bloomington optimists once described to me as, quote, the last honest attorney. I live near Moyer Park with my wife Charity and our daughters Eleanor and Adeline. I earned my bachelor's in music and political science from St. Olaf College and my master's of public affairs from the Humphrey School at the U of M, where I focused on health, housing, and education policy leadership. For the last decade, I've worked at the Minnesota Senate, working with our Bloomington legislators on critical issues facing our community and researching issues related to higher education, state government, and elections. I've served our state and community on the boards for the Perpich Center for Arts Education and the Bloomington Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and since 2018, as a member of the Bloomington City Council. I'm proud of the work we've done here in Bloomington to focus on our future by making important investments in our park system and public safety while keeping Bloomington's property taxes among the lowest in the Twin Cities area, and by taking action to move our city forward on housing, racial equity, and support for small businesses and workers. The leadership that we've shown in Bloomington, I believe, can be a model for taking on tough but needed conversations and grounding the choices we make in our shared values, and I'm eager to bring that experience to the Minnesota House. I'm running because now, perhaps more than ever before, we need leadership that's focused on working hard and delivering for Minnesotans. As we think about the things that I know are on folks' minds, I see the values I learned growing up here in Bloomington, and they will always be central to my work. Support for our public schools, addressing inflation and price gouging, caring for ourselves and our families, rebuilding our state's troubled infrastructure, lowering health care costs, protecting a woman's right to choose, safeguarding and strengthening our democracy, addressing racial disparities that we know exist, ensuring a stable place to live for every Minnesotan, preventing gun violence, and so many others that I continue to hear about from our neighbors. These are issues that are top of mind for so many of us and that Minnesotans rightly expect our leaders to act on. It's clear that we simply don't have time to waste on playing games or partisan one-upmanship. At this time, right here, right now, we need leaders who will work in good faith with anyone who will do the same, but who will never back down from a fight. That's what I've been on the Bloomington City Council, and that's what I'm ready to be as our next state representative. I'm eager to continue this conversation at the doors and around our district, and I'd like to ask for your vote. I'm asking because your vote is more than just expressing a preference. Your vote is an investment in the kind of Minnesota, the kind of community, the kind of future you want to see. Please check out my website, www.neighborsfornathan.com, and don't hesitate to give me a call if you'd like at 952-239-0531. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get to work.
Thank you to the candidates for appearing in these videos. Thank you, audience, for viewing these videos. Voters, remember to vote in the general election on or before November 6th. To learn more about voting and registering to vote, go to the Minnesota Secretary of State's website, mnvotes.org.